Let me ask you something. Do you know what a lie is? A lie?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's when you don't tell the truth and you do something bad.
And what happens when you tell a lie?
You get in trouble.
This is Patrick Morrissey, a 5-year-old child. Several hours before this footage was recorded, Patrick was at home living with his adoptive parents, Kay and Joe Morrissey. While lying in bed, Patrick had his eyes closed, but in reality, he was only pretending to be asleep. That night, Patrick witnessed something he should have never seen.
I know earlier you said you knew something about some robbers or something?
On April 5th, 2010, the Morrissey family's picture-perfect life took a disturbing turn when 5-year-old Patrick woke up to the sound of his parents screaming.
And he put these little time things on my mom and my dad so they couldn't walk.
Patrick witnessed the nightmare that will be known as the worst case of home invasion the state of Florida has ever seen. At a mere 5 years old, he will become the only person capable of saving his mother and putting an end to the killer's reign of terror.
You're like a hero.
My mom said.
Plantation, Florida, April 5th, 2010. A horrific crime shatters the middle upper-class neighborhood just outside of Fort Lauderdale. The address, 601 Northwest on 75th the Terrace. The Morrissey residence. It's 10 p.m. Joe Morrissey dozed off in front of the television. His wife Kay was still awake, working in her craft room, while their 5-year-old son, Patrick, slept in the master bedroom. Something is about to wake him up.
Plantation Police Department, can help you?
Requesting a dispatch on a residential fire alarm.
The resident's last name?
Morrissey, M-O-R.
2 hours later, just past midnight, Christina, Kay's daughter, who lives 10 minutes away, wakes up to the sound of her cell phone ringing. Unusual for the late hour.
I was about to not answer it, and something told me to pick up the phone.
On the other end is her mother, but she can barely hear her amidst all the sirens and chaos in the background.
She was just like, "You have to come here, you have to get here right now."
As she arrives, the road is blocked off. Christina jumps out of the car and runs down the street, pushing the officers out of the way just to get to her mother.
I saw her standing in the middle of the road in her pajamas, completely covered in blood, and I just remember thinking how small she looked and how helpless she looked.
Kay is in shock, confused. She cries out the words, "He's gone. He's gone?" However, Christina has no idea who she means.
I thought she was talking about the people who had gotten to the house, and I said, "It's okay, they'll find them." And she goes, No, Joe is gone. They killed him."
Whilst holding her mother in her arms, Christina can see the flames and smoke rising from the house. She finds out that Patrick is at the neighbor's house, yet she can't imagine what he's been through.
You've been married for how long?
13 years, I'm gonna be 14 this year.
While Kay Morrissey is being interrogated, her son Patrick sits alone in the adjacent room, waiting for someone to come and ask him questions.
It might be just easier to start with what happened from the beginning last night.
I was in my craft room and the TV was on and I heard a noise like something fall down. I look up, I saw him.
As the interrogation progresses, Kay Morrissey's credibility is questioned. The only other witness brought in for questioning is 5-year-old Patrick. Investigators hope he can testify to whether his mother is telling the truth.
All right, Patrick. Let me ask you something. All right?
Yeah.
Do you know what a lie is? A lie?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's when you don't tell the truth and you do something bad.
And what happens when you tell a lie?
You get in trouble.
I know earlier you said you knew something about some robbers or something?
Yeah.
What
The
happened?
robber attacked our house and my dad died.
Patrick doesn't fully comprehend that his father is dead, that the man who adopted him won't be coming back anymore.
Do another somersault so I can take a picture.
He was a very hands-on father. He was always doing something with Patrick, all the time.
Did you see, were you awake when this happened or were you sleeping?
Sleeping, but I woke up myself.
Oh yeah? And when you...
And he put a gun on my mom and dad's head.
Randy Tundador, a 43-year-old father of 2 boys, is at home watching TV when someone knocks at the door. He opens it to find Detective Kendall from the Plantation Police Department.
The guy that is renting the townhouse is suing us because he said he slept on the stairs.
The man Detective Kendall finds in the townhouse appears frail and unwell. He's wearing an oxygen mask and limping as he walks.
He has a history of being a professional tenant.
Detective Kendall realizes Mr. Tundador isn't in a condition to have committed the home invasion. It's evident to him that this isn't the man Kay saw the night before.
What's his name?
Randy Tundador. T-U-N-D as in David, I-D-O-R.
Without further leads to find another suspect, Kendall needs to rely on the only information Kay provided. His interrogation at Tundador's residence is recorded.
Have you ever had any dealings with Mr. Morrissey other than being a tenant?
Yeah, well, right now I'm suing him because I fell down the stairs in the house because of lack of repairs. He stopped talking to me because of the lawsuit. When I met him, he seemed like a gentleman.
What time did you come home last night?
I was home most of the night.
Did you call anybody?
Actually, my son called me. He needed money, but I won't help him.
Which son?
Randy Jr. First off, he's wanted by the law. Secondly, he's a crack addict.
When the police discover that Randy Tundador Jr. also has a pending warrant for probation violation, they ask his father where they can find him.
Okay, Randy. I'm gonna read you your rights.
Alright, where's the camera, the recorder, where's that?
It's being recorded.
Okay.
Randy Jr. seemed composed, very interested to know what information I had about the case. Very, very willing to talk to me.
I don't have no connection with this murder. I don't know who did it. I want to clear my name because I did not commit this murder.
The interview continues for hours. However, Detective Kendall can't determine whether Randy is guilty or not. When Kendall tells him how they've linked him to the crime, Randy doesn't seem surprised by what his father has told them.
I did call my dad. You know, he's been a good father. Like, he tries to direct me the right way and I go the wrong way, you know? He's really a good man. He's a very hard worker. He's a stand-up guy. And he would never do nothing like this.
Honestly, I think you may be involved in it.
Okay.
That's why we've gotta clear the air.
And I understand.
You know what I mean?
Well, then we definitely gotta clear that.
Yeah.
The person of interest in the case of the professor killed is still in police custody tonight.
Tundador's father had little to say outside his shop.
He's my son. I love him to death, and I'm going to support him to the end.
The investigation is at a standstill. The police can't place Randy Tundador Jr. at the crime scene. What's worse, according to Kay Morrissey, there was also a second person there that night.
It was like a two-way radio, and he would talk back to it. And
were there people talking to him on it?
He didn't let them. He said, just listen to me, don't talk to me.
The police have only one suspect and no motive, and as time goes by, the chances of finding out what happened dwindle. Without further evidence, Joe Morrissey's murder would remain unsolved. On April 14, the funeral takes place on a Wednesday morning at St. Gregory the Great Catholic Church.
My mom, she did not want his memory to be attached to that night. So that was why she insisted on it being a closed casket.
I did not want Patrick to see his dad in that condition at all. Patrick had a very difficult time understanding. He thought that he would look at an airplane and says, my dad is on that airplane, he's coming home. That was very hard for me. Literally, my heart was just in pieces.
As days pass, Patrick begins to grasp that his father isn't around anymore. At 5 years old, he starts showing signs of post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, but no one knows exactly what he witnessed.
I
appreciate you calling us like that. You understand you're not under arrest. You're here on your own free will.
Detective Kendall receives a phone call that no one could have foreseen. Randy Tundador's second son, Sean, emerges with a shocking revelation.
You called us, you said that you know your brother, you know he's a lot of things, but you know he's not capable of murder. You said that you had some knowledge of...
Basically, I'm gonna tell you straight up, my dad did it.
This bombshell information changes everything. Now Sean has the full attention of the detectives.
That morning, Randy, my brother, turned on the news. And first thing when I turn on, murder in plantation, early this morning, women, whatever. Brother gets up and he walks to the back porch and starts smoking a cigarette. And I don't know, if family, you get instincts. You're not stupid. You know your family. You know what I'm saying? So I walked out in the back and I said, bro, tell me you had nothing to do with that. And he said, go talk to Dad. So I walked upstairs, surprised. So you seen the news? He said, you need to shut up. He said, I'll kill you if I have to.
I knew. Right when I saw that headline on that news, I knew it was them. So I asked my dad. I said, well, what happened? And his words were, a dead man can't evict me.
He's been a good father. Like, he's really a good man. He's a very hard worker. He's a stand-up guy. And he would never do nothing like this.
He is gonna do anything and everything he has to do to make sure my father doesn't get to jail, because he loves him.
Sean Randy Jr.'s younger brother testifies against their own father. What he doesn't know is that his older brother, Randy, is in the next room, about to confess to the same crime.
How many of you said been alive? Your dad's they're crying.
Why is my dad crying?
Because of what you did. Come on, dude. I feel bad for your dad. Seriously, what happened? Dude, tell me. You'll feel so much better if you tell me.
I didn't kill my buddy, man.
Randy Jr. is only taking the blame to protect his father. Would his father do the same?
He's my son. I love him to death, and I'm going to support him to the end.
I wanted the truth to come out, and I wanted him to pay for it.
My father used to beat us bad. I mean, really beat us. One of the craziest guys you ever met. And they used to call him Rampage. They used to call him Scarface because he had a big-ass scar on his face.
He says they caught him, not me. He said, you fix this or I will.
Come on, it's common sense, boss. You know what I'm saying? Like, my son's already caught, so I won't go to jail. Let me just throw everything on him. And you can't let that happen either.
I told them I could prove it. And they told me how, and I told them, give me a wire.
What if I can get my father on tape stating that he killed the guy? Give me 2 hours with him. I'll find anything you want.
The detectives agreed to provide Sean with a hidden recording device within a car key. That same night, Sean confronts his father at home. With one hand in his pocket, he activates the device and begins questioning his father. He knows the man has committed a murder and remembers the threat he received.
He said, you need to shut up. He said, because I'll kill you if I have to.
I mean, I was scared, but I wanted my dad to pay for what he did to his family.
Over 2 stressful hours, Sean questions his father, pretending to be concerned about both his and his brother's well-being. The next morning, he returns the device to the station, convinced he's obtained enough evidence to convict his father. However, what he doesn't know is whether the device recorded anything. When the police attempt to download the audio files, this is what they hear.
There was a lot of background noise, whether it didn't record properly or there was some sort of obstruction in the recording.
That makes them question whether they missed a valuable opportunity or if Sean was telling the truth. Finally, the audio reveals the conversation Sean had with his father. The police are on the verge of uncovering the true mastermind behind the murder. On the night of April 5, 2010, Randy Tundador, sir, went to his eldest son, Randy Jr., a young man desperate to make his father proud, and manipulated him into breaking into Joe Morrissey's house.
My dad pulls out 100 worth of crack, and he tells him to smoke it. When it was done, he told my brother he has a customer's house they can go rob and get cash and buy all the crack he wants. You're not asking my brother that, you're asking a crackhead that now.
When they conduct a search at the premises of the store called Gator Tint, owned by Randy, sir, they find more than just the computer from the Morrissey house. They also discover recently discarded plastic ties in the trash.
To both of you? To me and my husband.
An empty box of a hunting knife, two-way radios similar to those used by the assailant.
This little thing that he kept talking, that kept beeping, and he would talk back to it and...
Foreign currency notes left in a bucket, the same ones reported stolen from the Morrissey residence.
And he was saying, where's the wallet? I want the wallet.
Do you have gloves on? No gloves?
He had gloves.
In the parking lot, detectives also find burn marks on the ground, leading them to believe someone disposed of potential incriminating evidence. On the same day, Randy Tundador, sir, opens his door to officers, this time with a warrant for arrest. Detective Kendall calls Kay to share the news that both Randy Tundador, sir, and his son Randy Jr. are in custody awaiting trial.
I was going to be there for the trials, even if they told me that I really didn't have to be there, I was there. So I wasn't only standing there for Joe, I was also standing there for Patrick. I wanted to see justice.
April 2012, the trial begins. The judge and jury are presented with the facts surrounding the case, the evidence concerning the murder of Joseph Morrissey, and the attempted murder of his wife and son. But the details of what the family endured are still unknown. Although Patrick is too young to testify, the jury watches footage of his interrogation. For the first time, Patrick's suffering is shared with the world. His story begins 2 years earlier, on the night of April 5.
I know earlier you said you knew something about some robbers or something?
Yeah.
By around 11:30 p.m., Patrick is awakened by shouts in the living room. Alone in his parents' bed, he can hear his mother and father pleading with a stranger. Patrick is terrified. He lies still under the covers, listening intently to what's happening in the other room. When he hears the front door close, the house falls silent. For what feels like an eternity, Patrick remains silent, frozen in fear. He stays still in the place where his father slept, but his parents are gone, and he doesn't know where.
At that point, he said he wanted to go to the ATM to get money out. He goes, remember, if you do anything stupid, I have the gun, and I have your kid, and I have your husband, and your kid's with people back there.
At home, Patrick hears footsteps outside his window, but doesn't dare to look. He hides under the covers until he hears the front door open again. When he recognizes his parents' voices, he sits up in bed, ready to run to them. But instead, he sees them being forced into the master bedroom with towels over their heads. His mother is crying, terrified. Patrick can see that the man threatening them has a gun, as he instructs them to kneel beside the bed.
And he put these little twine things on my mom and my dad, so they couldn't walk.
Patrick doesn't understand what's happening. His parents can't see him. But as his father kneels beside him, Joe Morrissey speaks to his son and calmly asks, "Patrick, lie down and pretend you're sleeping. Please do this for Daddy." Those will be Joe Morrissey's final words to his son before his murder.
And the guy came over and said to Joe that he had to go with him.
As Joe is taken to the living room, Patrick continues to pretend as his father asked, but he can still hear him pleading for his family's life, and then silent.
Even when the man was dying, he was fighting for his life and trying to protect my mom and Patrick.
For a long while, Patrick lies on his side with his eyes closed. He can hear his mother beside him crying, but he doesn't move. All he can do is listen, hoping to hear his father's voice again, but it never comes. In the silence of the house, Patrick begins to hear the crackling of flames from a fire in the kitchen. When his mother wakes him up, she's still tied at her wrists and ankles, and Patrick is the only one who can save her. He rushes to his mother's craft room through the growing smoke and grabs a pair of scissors to cut her bonds.
I saved my mom and got the scissors to cut those.
Wow, you're like a hero.
My mom said.
In the courtroom, Patrick's account of what happened to Joe Morrissey and his family left everyone speechless. On the night he lost his father, the loving man who adopted him, Patrick followed his father's instructions and saved his mother's life. At that time, he didn't know it, but he would have made his father proud.
I was like so scared. He never answered me. I kept calling him and he didn't answer me.
As Kay leaves the defendant's bench, It's Randy Tundador Jr.'s turn to speak. To everyone's surprise, not only does he confess to the crimes, but he also testifies against his own father.
The fact that he would sit here and say that it was me and my brother who did this and planned this, I feel like that's wrong. You shouldn't do anything to hurt your kids. I think that a father's job is to protect his kids, not to hurt his kids.
Randy Tundador, sir, betrayed his own children to save himself, while Joe Morrissey protected his family before his death. The verdict is unanimous. Randy Jr. is sentenced to 40 years in prison for his role in Joe Morrissey's death. His father, Randy Sarr, is found guilty on 10 criminal charges, including arson, armed robbery, kidnapping, attempted murder, and first-degree murder. He is sentenced to death.
I remember the bailiff putting the handcuffs after he was found guilty, and the click of those handcuffs is something that I still don't forget.
Sean lost everything his brother and his father because he chose to do what was right for Patrick and his mother. But in doing so, he also broke the cycle of abuse set by his father.
I'm proud of Sean. I'm not sure if we would have had Randy Sr. convicted if we didn't have that recording.
Sean Tundador is a very brave person. In all of this hatred, he was trying to do a little bit of good.
If you think I'm a snitch and I didn't do the right thing, then you're just as bad as the guy that committed that murder. So I don't care.
Patrick and his mother, their lives stand as a tribute to Joe Morrissey.
I definitely feel Patrick is my hero. He not only saved my life, but also helped me save his life.
They continue to support each other and won't let the sacrifice of a father be forgotten.
I wanted other people to see that they can survive. And I think my son also does the same thing.
Patrick and his mother, Kay, are living proof that even after tragedy, there's a life worth living.